other ammunition that had gone missing as well. In fact, these ones, he said, were stolen and cannot be accounted for. And so that's a separate case of the theft of military ammunition, and then also the thousands that were transferred from the national security prior to the elections that had not been accounted for. So these are major statements in the last at least couple of weeks that we can ascribe to Dr. Edward Omane-Boamah, a Minister for Defense, on the line or in the line of duty, giving updates on what has been happening within his area. And that generated a lot of concern and conversation as to what exactly these ammunitions were transferred for from the armed forces to the national security, and why have they not been returned. And he did make an instructive statement that it did not follow protocol, that this transfer of the ammunitions from the military to national security prior to the 2024 elections did not follow protocol. There is not adequate documentation.
Not enough paperwork to follow the trail.
Exactly where it is. And that was unusual. This is the military we're talking about. They're very meticulous and also very, very careful with paperwork and the paper trail as well.
So that's Dr. Samuel Sapple, who's the vice chair of the NDC, also on board this chopper, helicopter, a military aircraft Z9, which crashed. And that's him. We're also going to show you as well the pilot, squadron leader Peter Anala. It's the pilot, and we've just got word that he's got a 2-month-old baby that he's left behind. Very unfortunate in terms of the family and what possibly could be running through their mind right now. The fact that he has a 2-month-old baby, all of that left behind. The pilot as well, who was in charge of this aircraft, which came down, and we'll be trying to bring you details of all of these people who, unfortunately, as has been confirmed by the Chief of Staff, are no longer with us. But perhaps we'll take you back again to the presidency again and bring you back that announcement as was made by the Chief of Staff, Julius Stebra.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the President of the Republic, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, who is with us here, and the government of Ghana, I have the unpleasant duty, sadly, to announce a national tragedy involving the crash of a military helicopter this morning around the Adansi area in Ashanti region. Government regrets to announce the demise of the following persons in the tragic crash: Dr. Edward Kofi Omane-Boamah, Minister for Defense; Alhaji Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, MP, Minister for Environment, Science and Technology; Alhaji Muniru Mohammed Lemona, Acting Deputy
And that's the Chief of Staff, Julius Stebra, as he made that announcement, and was still struggling really across the length and breadth of this country. In fact, the general mood, even on social media, amongst many other things, a lot of people struggling to come to terms with the details as has been communicated by the Chief of Staff, even as we've tried to walk through the profiles of these individuals and name the eight who are on board this Z9 military helicopter, which came tumbling down. It brought the program they were supposed to be at. The Ashanti Regional Minister said he was going to leave it to other persons and rush to the scene of the incident. Now we can all but confirm that the action of the military search team on the ground will only be to the best of their abilities recover the bodies and possibly DNA tests run so that they can identify the said individuals, because if anything is to go by and if what Ibrahim is telling us is anything to go by, some of these bodies were bent beyond recognition. And it's a very difficult one, particularly for the families to be able to come to terms with. But unfortunate as it is, this is what it is has happened, and we've been trying to walk you through the details over the last 1+ hour as the initial details began to come through. The military confirming that the 8 were on board and that they had gone missing amongst many other things. A lot of people were asking questions. Well, that unfortunate confirmation has all but been confirmed. And if we take you back to before the news conference as well, just the mood in being able to communicate what it is that had happened, the sense of difficulty in it, and seeing the interior minister as well almost shedding a tear or two, it just presupposes how hard it is for these individuals, even at the presidency. These are their friends, these are the persons they sit at cabinet with, because there are cabinet conversations that's been happening over the last few weeks and months, government policies being championed by these 2 ministers who sit at cabinet amongst many other things. It is a general sense of difficulty for a lot of them to come to terms with everything that's transpired over the last few hours. But those are the ministers and the individuals we continue to roll on your screen. Dr. Edward Omane-Boamah is a Minister for Defense, one of the many individuals who unfortunately has succumbed to death via this very harrowing and very painful means as well. Being bent, crashing in a helicopter, being bent beyond recognition. A very difficult way, actually, to go. Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed is Minister for Environment, Science and Technology as well. Also on board that military helicopter. Then there is the vice chair as well of the NDC. This is squadron leader Peter Anala, who's the pilot of the chopper which went down just some hours ago. Details of which have been confirmed, and he, squadron leader Peter Anala, we understand, has left behind a 2-month-old child, and the difficulty for that child to grow and come to terms with these facts and all, and the family and all is quite very difficult. But squadron leader Peter Anala as well, the pilot of the military helicopter Z9, which came down. Also on board, Dr. Samuel Sapong, who's the vice chairman of the NDC, as well, on board the military helicopter.
He was actually one time Ashanti regional minister as well, and so I mean, you could understand why this is a big blow for the NDC as well. I mean, first we're looking at the service and of these persons and the impact to the country. But then again, if you narrow the scope of impact and analysis down, you would also understand why the NDC has been heavily hit. This is a man who also understands the workings of the Ashanti region. He knows the place. And when he was elevated to that position of the National Vice Chair for the NDC as well. Prior to the elections, he led the likes of Joseph Yamin and others who deployed a very potent and competent strategy in the Ashanti region, going into that election date, December 7, 2024 as well. So it's a huge loss for the NDC as a political party too.
Then there's Muniru Muhammad, and then Dr. Samuel Sapong and Samuel Abuaje as well, all on board that military Z9 helicopter which suffered that crash and the fatality thereof. And flags are flying at half mast as the government. I mean, the shock is quite severe. I'll be quite very honest with you. We will seek to get details as well of that Armed Forces Council meeting, which the Vice President is Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman is immediately chairing, because we understand that the military couples all are presently at the Jubilee House as well. And so that meeting is currently underway, and what the details are, we will be seeking to get that as well shortly in the course of time. But this is the very unfortunate news that we have had to be the unfortunate bearers of in the last 2 hours since the news broke. It started while we were on air, Alfred, with News Central, and the news came in. Details were sketchy, and there was nothing to confirm just as yet, and so there was a bit of circumspection in terms of how the story was to be conveyed at that point in time. But subsequently, as we went off air, the details began to come through, and even now we're beginning to see as well pictures from the family home of Dr. Edward Omane Boama at this particular point in time, and you can imagine the level of grief that will characterize that home right now, and only to find out that the mother possibly is catching details of this via television, and that difficulty in the immediacy you cannot possibly comprehend for these families at this point in time. But the difficulty, even for us in communicating such rather unfortunate news.
And Mauna, getting to know that Dr. Edward Omane Boama's mother got to hear of this while watching television, it's a heavy one. That also tells you the responsibility that we have as well in ensuring some level of circumspection and then also attaching some level of sensitivity into putting out this news. That's why we have to tarry and also err on the side of caution and make sure that we hear from officials. What had happened before we run with the details of the story as it unfolded, at least over the last 2 hours that we got information of this particular incident. And that's the official government communication has come now from the Chief of Staff, and the reactions that we're getting from both Dr. Edward Omane Boama's family home. This is in the east. This is in the eastern region. His mother is in the eastern region. Mauna, we'll show you some videos of that. Fortunately, there are some NDC stalwarts
who were close by, and so they rushed
in quickly.
They rushed to the residence, that's his family home, moved in quickly to console his mother as well. We're keeping tabs on the homes of all these persons who have been mentioned by the Chief of Staff, the persons who were on board this helicopter that went down about a little over 3 hours ago. That's the time we got this information, and now the confirmation that has come through. So stay with us here on TV3 and also on 3FM 92.7. We're also keeping tabs on the presidency to get some information as to what would become of the next steps ahead. But this is a dark Wednesday, a black one for us as a country. What a day it's been. It's a sad one.
Absolutely, Alfred, and a very difficult one as well for even persons watching, because even whilst we've been on air, persons have been trying to reach out, asking, trying to confirm, almost in disbelief as to what it is that we've had to, over the last 2 hours, do while being here on television in their respective homes. A dark Wednesday, like you rightly mentioned, and a black one, as a matter of fact. But we will continue to keep tabs, like you rightly mentioned, on the homes of these individuals, and also at the presidency as to what comes next from that Armed Forces Council meeting, which we understand the Vice President is chairing immediately at this point in time. But this is an unfortunate piece of detail we've had to bring to you. But like we say, on all of our social media handles as well, we'll continue to communicate as and when fresh details come through. I am Anigyie Fie.
My name is Alfred Okansi, and as we're keeping the focus on how things are playing out in this very tough time for us as a country, and then also, and really most importantly, for the families of these persons that we are talking about. Dr. Edward Omane Boama, the Minister for Defense, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, and all these persons as well, the others who were on board this helicopter. Now, we're also getting information that the fire service has been giving some updates on what they have seen at the fire, at the crash scene, and what happened there.
Yes, and so the fire service have been speaking in relation to their response to this development. Let's take you listening as exactly the details as have been come, because remember, all of this is coming in quite thick and fast. No detail is confirmed just as yet. But let's hear exactly what the fire service has been saying as with regards to their response to the crash.
Well, the closest station to where this unfortunate incident happened is Obuasi fire station. And from what I've gathered, it will take them not less than an hour to move from Obuasi to that space. And I think they initiated response, so I'm here to be briefed as to what they were able to do when they got to the scene. So as and when we get better particulars about our response, we'll be able to brief the Ghanaians. Just that we want to use this medium to send our condolences to the bereaved family. So for crashes of this nature, it does not just warrant the response of the Ghana National Fire Service alone, because a lot of things are at play here. We do interagency response. I quite remember some years back, LWAC incident, where it happened just around the LWAC stadium, where a plane crashed into the walls and then onto the streets. I think we had some people getting injured and losing their lives and all that. So quickly we had to respond and then rescue people. We are the only institution with extrication tools. So if people are trapped, it is our responsibility to cut through the mangled, how do you call it, aircraft, and then free or rescue or evacuate the affected victims and hand them over to the ambulance for further, for first aid, and then onward transportation to a nearby health center or hospital for better medical care. So we are very much involved, especially with rescue, especially with extrication, and especially if there's any fire, we are also mandated to extinguish that fire.
That's the fire service explaining in some detail. We're also having fresh details as well of an eyewitness account as to what happened at the crash site, what it is that they saw, and we're using this as well as a means of caution for persons to please be circumspect in some of the footages being openly displayed as well on social media, because some of these footages are quite gory. There's a reason why, as a media house, we're not showing some of them, and so we're just putting this out as a word of caution as well to persons who are freely and actively sharing some of these footages to be circumspect and as well think of the families who have lost precious ones in this crash as well. But like I mentioned, there's an eyewitness account which we've been able to gather right now for you as to what they saw just moments before the Z9 helicopter, military helicopter, went down as well. The fire service have spoken as to when or how quickly they could have gotten to the scene. Here's what this eyewitness saw when the chopper came down.
Really the chum. Number of food. A bit of the chum from Plano now from there. It's the new answer. Material grind. To material grind, I'm saying I pray they are buffalo. To me, jam it. The million in answer my papa said that we are. I don't toy. To me, the number is in Musa. I'm quiet. To be quiet also. Plano abo. I say any power. One woman in answer. I see. Obi anwa. To me, survival. We in answer. Plano the any in answer. Crash. I see. You see, only there. Let me ask any papa trade here. Papa trade here. But I couldn't do say penny, but our mama can dear. Mama can do Mama can do Macre the only say penny. I don't cry on the 9 now. I can't say don't say. Mama can do Janaya no say your bow, so I am then she one an echo. Nanyashi and to Tebechamuna, Neasabia, a bonus in it, well, who a quani, and what they call ball, a Ganima, a mass accident this year. Then I say white and black visa.
And so that's the eyewitness account, speaking in the Akan dialect, saying that he was in his farm, the helicopter was at a very low altitude, and all he heard was the sound of a crash, and he told himself that that certainly is the helicopter, and so he began to make his way to the scene of the crash. When he got there, it was burnt, it was burning, and all of the individuals in it did not survive. 3 of the individuals, he says, beyond recognition, almost corroborating what Ibrahim told us. He says it was just one person you could tell that yes, but even that from the limbs downwards, their limbs were gone. It was just the upper body which he could immediately identify. The Education Minister, who we saw at that emergency news conference as well, has been speaking just briefly as well to my colleague Kamala Klucha at the presidency. Let's hear from what he as well has had to say, and then we'll bring you what it is we've been gathering as incident report involving helicopters having to make emergency stops. But let's hear from the Education Minister first off. We'll try and work on the sound. We'll work on the sound again. But Alfred is by the dashboard where we're going to get details of that incident report, which we've been putting together. Our team has been putting together. Alfred, you're there. Walk us through exactly what it is so we can see.
So, Mona, absolutely. We've been tracking the incidents involving the helicopters belonging to the Ghana Air Force. So that's to put matters in context. But this is not the first time we've experienced this. You referenced something that happened in 2024. This is by far the most fatal that we have seen. But as far back as 2020, some 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, the 29th of June 2020 specifically, this a Haben Z9EH. And Mauna, bear in mind this aircraft name, the helicopter's name, a Haben Z9EH. The difference between what we're talking about now, today, this aircraft or the helicopter that went down, Z9, and what happened in 2020 is the EH. But then again, the reports that we monitored and which has been confirmed by our research desk and then also production going into this, this Z9EH helicopter belonging to the Ghana Air Force made an emergency landing on the 25th of June 2020, but none of the 8 people on board were injured. So the capacity of this helicopter that was involved in this incident in 2020 was 8. Today, this helicopter that has been involved in this crash also had the 8 persons, the capacity of 8 passengers or persons on board. Emergency landing in a field about 32 kilometers west of Tamale Airport. Now, the crew landed after observing a malfunction of the tail rotor system. So this 29 June 2020 incident was as a result of the malfunction of the tail rotor system. But none of the 8 people on board that 29 June 2020 incident were injured. And this involved a Haben Z9EH helicopter. Fast forward to 2024, 19th March, there was an emergency landing of the Ghana Air Force helicopter with the registration number GHF 696. On the 19th of March, it was a Tuesday, at Monsukrom. This was in the Western region. This what you referenced earlier. The landing occurred as a result of the bad weather conditions in the area. Now, we do not know what the weather situation was in that particular area, but then again, this we do know is a mountainous area as well, and when you're flying in those areas, and we would have security analysts join us shortly, the weather is a critical component because when you're flying over these mountainous areas.
It's been raining,
absolutely,
in the southern belt, which we've gotten confirmation of from a number of individuals who've been speaking. But many thanks, Alfred, with the incident report in relation to military aircraft having to make emergency stops as a result of faults as identified. But we're taking you to the Environment Ministry right now, where my colleague Godwin Aseba is stationed to get immediate live reactions as to what the mood is like. Godwin, talk to us. What possibly are these people telling you following the news having been confirmed and all of that?
Live from the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, where here at the Ministry Enclave in Accra, where the mood is visibly somber and filled with grief following the tragic news of the passing of the Sector Minister, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, in a helicopter crash. And that has also claimed the life, of the Minister for Defense, Edward Omane Boama, and others. Here at the ministry, staff members are still coming to terms with the news. Many of them, are still grieving. Others are in tears. We have been told earlier as they reflect on the life of the leadership of Dr. Murtala. There's a palpable sense of shock and sadness across the building, especially among those who worked closely with him. It's just really sad. Since assuming office earlier this year, we all know that Dr. Murtala had become a dynamic force in the ministry, bringing renewed energy and a clear vision for advancing Ghana's science innovation and environmental sustainability agenda. We also know that he championed initiatives aimed at promoting climate resilience, particularly in vulnerable northern communities, and was deeply committed to integrating science and technology into everyday governance. One of the most recent efforts was the launch of a national campaign on e-waste management, where he pushed stricter regulations and encouraged local innovations to turn e-waste into reusable products, I beg your pardon. But just like I was indicating, you can see quite a number of people here. We were speaking with one of the resource persons who doesn't really want to speak to us on camera, who made mention of the fact that once the news was announced, all of them were down in the dumps, so trying to come to terms with the fact that this tragic news was indeed true. As I am speaking to you, we have also been told that the minister's office is located on the 3rd floor of the building, where the HR has called for all of them to gather for some news to be released to them. We've also been told that some individuals who work directly with the minister have left the premises because they are still trying to comprehend with this rather unfortunate incident that has happened. And as tributes continue to pour in, from both locally and internationally, the ministry is expected to, probably open a book of condolence for late minister, probably coming soon. And we'll definitely continue to stay here and bring you the updates subsequently. But we'll try and move into the premises to get to know how most of these workers are trying to come to terms with the fact that this rather unfortunate incident had happened. Just like I are supposed to gather at the conference room, where they will be meeting with the HR for a brief meeting. We don't know what the meeting is going to be about, but hopefully it should be very brief. We'll try as much as we can to also get to his office to get to know exactly what the mood is over there. So Ishmael, if you can come with me into the premises, let's get to the 3rd floor and get to see who is there and what is currently also happening around. This is the reception part of the Environment Ministry. So we'll go in here, where we'll then head to the 3rd floor, where the minister's office is, to get to gauge the mood in there, to know exactly what will be happening as well. As you know, the entire nation is in shock. So, struggling to come to terms with the fact that this rather pick the elevator, and we are heading towards the 3rd floor, where we'll get to see exactly
trying to make his way to the office area of the Environment, Science and Technology Minister. His connection will return to us shortly, because if you know the elevator quite well, reception is quite poor when you're in the elevator. But Godwin is back, and let's take you back to the ministry.
The fact that this rather unfortunate incident has happened to. But if you can just have a glimpse of exactly how the mood of the people are in there. Others are holding onto their chins, sadness drawn on the faces of individuals here at the ministry. And briefly, I'm sure the HR will get to engage them. And just as we are come here to bring you details and live pictures on everything that is happening, you will get to know what the outcome will be or look like. But it's generally been a somber mood. Workers, the entire environment is in grief, is in sadness and sorrow, and the entire country is also reacting to this rather unfortunate incident that happened. Into the premises to get to know exactly what conversation they will be having. But just like I was mentioning and also updating you, the HR is supposed to meet with the team, have a brief conversation on the incident. You might not know. This is very strong, knowing that one of their major leaders, has been called to glory in a very tragic way, which is just really devastating and shocking. Just a brief about Dr. Mutala. Like I was saying, we know that he spoke passionately about investing in research institutions and was instrumental in lobbying for increased funding for STEM education and green energy development. Many who worked under him described him as principled, hands-on, and genuinely interested in seeing Ghana thrive through science and innovation. His loss will undoubtedly leave a huge vacuum, not only to the ministry, but also within the broader science and environmental policy landscape. Just really devastating, if I should say, Mawena.
Godwin Nasidiba with those details. And we're in the home region of Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, where my colleague Christopher Mwako as well is stationed right now with a bit more details as well from the family home of Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed. And let's take you there right now. And as well, it's a very difficult time for the family, very difficult, but let's take you there right now. Christopher is there. Chris, talk to us. You've been there. What are they saying? What's the conversation like? How are they reacting? How did they even get to hear about the news to start off with?
Yes, Mawena, I must say that it's a very sad moment for family members of Honorable Mutala Mohammed, MP for Tamale Central. I'm here at his residence, and family members are beginning to gather. The direct elder brother of Honorable Mutala has just told me how they got the information. According to him, it was the MP for Tamale South and Education Minister, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, who called him to break the sad news to him. And so he's yet to come to terms of the reality of the news, because as at yesterday, the MP and minister was supposed to be in Tamale with the energy minister on the power situation in Tamale. Unfortunately, he couldn't come because he had other assignments to take care of. And so, like I said, it's a very sad moment here. The elder brother is here. I will just go to him and for us to have a discussion with him. Sir, it's unfortunate that we've lost the MP for Tamale Central now. How did you receive this information?
Every soul request death. We actually have done about the spirit in good faith. That's what Allah has done. And everybody has a barrier. When you get to that, you have to go. They only hope that inshallah, by the grace of God, you'll make a soul rest in perfect peace.
What were the last engagements you had with him as an elder brother?
3 days ago, we had a brother who had an accident. That's in Katakyie and Katakyie. The amputator is left. So I told him that we're coming to apply. So both of us on Monday, we go and see the management of the Katakyie to solve that our brother's problem. So we agreed that. But I was even to leave to apply today. So I told me that I had a responsibility. By Monday, I have to come back. That's the last word I had with him. So that's not what I've done.
I know you are sad, and family members are beginning to gather, right?
Chris, hold on for us. We want to improve the quality of the sound with him, and then we'll return to you and continue the interaction. But we're returning to the Environment Ministry right now because there's some updates from there for us. Godwin is there. Godwin, what can you report?
Now, briefly, we are inside one of the conference rooms here at the Environment Ministry, and just like I mentioned to you, the mood here is generally really sad, and people are still trying to come to terms with the fact that this rather unfortunate incident has happened to one of their major leaders, which happens to be the minister, Dr. Mutala. You can see that most of the workers here are, really sad. A lot of sadness drawn around their faces. We are just hoping that most of them wouldn't have tears rolling down their cheeks, but it's just really a very bad day for them here at the ministries, and we'll be leaving them shortly because we have been told that the HR will be having a short meeting with them, probably to officially inform them about the incident that has happened and subsequently update them with what they will be doing. We have been told that some officials have not been able to comprehend with a rather unfortunate incident that has befallen them, and they had to quickly leave the premises, which we can't understand and comprehend with. You're seeing people either holding to their chins, others having their hands wrapped around their chest. You can clearly see that woman there bowing her head, clearly, really sad scenes happening here. So we will briefly leave them to have the meeting and also get to update the staff here, and we will be pitch camped outside to get to know what the meeting will be about and what the outcome will also be. So thank you so much for giving us your time, and we are really sorry to get to know that this has happened to you, and we are hoping that you will be able to overcome this as soon as possible. So yes, Mawena, that is the incident here, the meeting that is about to happen here at the ministries, and it's really sad. I'm actually short of words to describe how their mood is like, because you have about a lot of people in there close to just down in the dumps. It's just really heartbreaking to know. But we'll definitely be bringing you to speed with all the updates that will be happening here regarding how not just the workers are feeling, but people around as well, and how they are reacting to this rather unfortunate incident.
Thank you, Godwin. That's my colleague Godwin Asidiba, the Environment Ministry, Environment Science and Technology Ministry, providing details there for us as to what it is that's happening. We're going on the phone lines right now. Dr. Victor Doke is a security analyst, is a lecturer as well at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping and Training Center. He's joined us via phone. Doc, I appreciate your time and taking time off to speak to us, and for holding the line as well, because I understand you've been on the line for quite some time. A difficult moment for us as a people, as a country, this incident that's just played out. But if we can put this conversation in some perspective, my colleague Alfred has walked us through incident reports involving military aircraft, amongst many other things that have had to do forced landings. We've had a conversation about the state of the presidential jet, and dare I say, there are those who make the argument that there was a possibility the president could have been on this jet. Is this a good enough time for us to begin to have a dispassionate conversation about the state of aircraft as we have, as managed by the military?
Yes, thank you, Mola. Good day to you, our viewers. And I must say this is very saddening. Condolences to the two ministers, the other passengers. Fortunate. such a fine gentleman we have in the person of Dr. Obuasi being the defense minister. Very affable, easy. It's just grasped on top issues with respect to the defense sector, and within a short time, he has to just give back like this. So, I mean, with regards to the conversations surrounding our state of equipment, i.e., the aircraft we have, the whatnot, I think, yes, it won't be far from wrong to say we need to have a very holistic conversation with regards to the state of our, air equipment and even land equipment, because when you're talking about everyday operational equipment, which are very essential, and it is very, very essential and important that at this juncture we look at every sector with regards to operational materials or operational equipment in a positive direction to see how best we can change in perspective and then address the challenges that exist within our sector, especially the defense sector.
Hello, Doc. Are you still with us? Right. Doc, unfortunately, we'll have to hold you again and connect again to my colleague Gordon Asidiba, who's at the Environment, Science and Technology Ministry, who has yet another update because, I mean, my God, they are so distraught. People are so heartbroken. Godwin, I'm seeing people almost in tears, shying away amongst many other things. Talk to us.
Here at the ministry's enclave in Accra, where the mood is visibly somber and filled with grief following the tragic news of the passing of the sector minister, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, in a helicopter crash that also claimed the life of the minister and also the defense minister as well, Dr. Edward. Times with the news, many of them, just like I showed you earlier, are very sad. Some of them are bowing their heads with watery eyes, just trying to come to terms with the fact that this is indeed happening, As they reflect on the life of the minister, Dr. Murtala, most of them who have spoken to me off camera continue to mention how the good man he was and how it will be difficult for them to even allow this tragic news to settle in. There's a palpable sense of shock across the entire building here. I am currently on the 3rd floor where a meeting is about to be held, especially among those who worked closely with him. And I gave a brief history earlier on what Dr. Murtala was aiming at achieving as a minister. And since assuming office earlier this year, he had become a very dynamic force in the ministry, focusing more on energy. He had a vision for advancing Ghana's science, innovation, and environmental sustainability agenda as well. And one of the most recent things that I also mentioned earlier had to do with the fact that he launched a national campaign for increased funding for STEM education and green energy development. Many who have worked with him have described him as a principled man and a person who is genuinely interested in seeing Ghana thrive through science and innovation. And I'm sure if you are a keen watcher of the Key Point hosted by Alfred Okanse, you'll often see him among the panel with Professor Jampo and the rest who speak passionately about issues around the country. The entire media general is also grieving as well, and it's just really a sad one. His loss will undoubtedly leave a huge vacuum, not only to the ministry, but also within the broader science and environmental policy landscape of the country. The question now is how the government plans to continue the work he has passionately started, and who might step in to carry forward his vision. Quite early for us to talk about this, but then it's just all the live pictures here inside, where I hope my cameraman could zoom into the individuals to capture their moods as well. From where I stand, others are either making calls, others have their face totally dropped down to silence. All of these signs that I don't really have to describe indicate and shows when an individual is in shock or is grieving, and you can clearly see all of that happening in here. It's just really, really a sad one. But I'll quickly lead you to the door of his office so that you get to know, once he gets to the third floor, where he would have to walk or he gets his office. That's the door that leads to his office, and you can see quite a number of people standing here. Ordinarily, on a regular day when he gets to ministry, he passes through the door here and gets into his office. I was just hoping that we could get a glimpse of how the place looks like, but for privacy reasons, we won't be able to get there. But when you get to this point, you see the inscription written over there, which is the Chief Director's Secretariat. Before then, you can finally make your way into his office. Right, so that's generally the mood here at the ministry. And you can see that there have been quite a lot of movements and meetings being held among some of the dignitaries or people who hold high positions here at the Environment Ministry. I presume that the meeting should begin as soon as possible with the staff here at the ministry to get to know what the next step will be for them. Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed unfortunately died in a helicopter crash that also claimed the life of the Minister for Defense, Dr. Edward Omane Boama. Right after here, we will try going to the Defense Ministry as well. Security quite tight, but we'll try to gauge the mood around to get to know how people are also trying to comprehend or accept this news. But yeah, that's just what is happening here at the ministry. The space, generally I have been told by the people should be quite busy with a lot of people walking around all the time, but this is just an empty corridor. And then you look to the other side where the meeting should be held as soon as possible, quite room, and others who are also pitch camp outside as well, holding hands, trying to let the information settle in just before the human resource manager can get to engage them officially on exactly what happened and how they're going to, plan it all out here at the ministry.
Godwin Asidiba, my colleague at the Godwin Asidiba at the Environment, Science and Technology Ministry, and I mean the difficulty with which individuals they see, interact with, talk to. Just yesterday, a minister was possibly walking in that office heartily having conversations with them. Today, they wake up to news of his demise in such excruciating fashion, certainly one that you cannot comprehend. And we've even seen videos of some of the initial reactions. I've seen Amakofibo's immediate reaction when it was suggested to him that the possibility of a crash, and a number of his colleagues, and just the facial expression alone, seeing the ministers and all other dignitaries, even at the presidency when that news conference was expected to have taken place, the anguish, the sorrow, the pain written boldly on faces of individuals they interact with, have conversations with every time, plan together with, all of that coming to a naught. Fathers, all gone within the blink of an eye, a crash of a helicopter, very devastating. And all of these expressions and more have been written on the faces of quite a number of these individuals who Godwin has been speaking to and interacting with. But we're taking you to the constituency office right now of Tamale Central, where my colleague Christopher Mwako, earlier he was with brother of Dr. Mutala Mohammed. He's moved on to the constituency office as well, because remember, he is a member of parliament for the Tamale Central constituency as well. And again, just before I connect with Christopher, the caution: please do not share these videos, harrowing videos of charred bodies on social media like you're doing, because these are families who've lost loved ones, and it will be painful if you're chancing upon charred bodies of someone you once loved being spread and shared so freely and so easily on social media as well. The caution, which we've seen the Minister of Communication as well reiterate quite strongly: please now who's at the constituency office as well. It's just really a feel, and the pain is very evident. It's written all over the faces of these individuals. These are people who is a person who represented them in these constituencies. Let's just go back to that constituency right now and catch a feel of what it's like.
Is one of the constituency members, and she's crying.
My name is Alasa Fadila. I can't describe our late honorable as a man of God's heart. Indeed, he loves everybody, no matter what your religion. I'm a Christian, he's a Muslim. He doesn't differentiate. He loves everybody. We have hope on him, but God knows what happened.
Because of the
That's the difficulty for people to comprehend, come to terms with what it is that they're hearing. The fact that they're a member of parliament, somebody they love, somebody they look forward to. It was very vibrant when it comes to matters of debate on the floor of the House. He will always speak very boldly on the floor of parliament. And so he is somebody they see, they hear from very often. Suddenly, you get word, watching on television here on TV3, with the responsibility of having to convey those details to all of these constituents. A very difficult time for them, but it's one that's happened nonetheless, as we continue to try and wrap our heads around really what it is that's transpired, even as we engage some more experts in all of that. But we also mentioned that the president had ordered for flags to fly at half-mast. That's happened, and that's a picture of the Jubilee House for you right now, with the flags flying at half-mast. 8 individuals. Some of the individuals you know very well because they are in your faces every time, but these are 8 fathers, 8 relatives, loved persons who, through no fault of theirs, as fate will have it, succumbed to death in such harrowing fashion. And the flags continue to fly at half-mast. Christopher is at the constituency office, like we mentioned, and then we also have an aviation expert as well, because there will be questions asked after all is said and done. There will be questions asked, but that's a picture for you of the flags flying at half-mast at the seat of government at this point in time, as we continue to bring you details of this very, very difficult development. Let's connect to Christopher right now. Christopher Marco is my colleague. He's in the Tamale Central constituency. Chris, you've been to the family. You spoke to the brother. You've been to the constituency. The tears will just not stop flowing, would it?
Yes, so Marina is very sad here in the entire Tamale Central constituency. Currently, I'm at the constituency party office where a lot of party supporters, family members, and other sympathizers are gathering to, as it were, share their respect as a result of the unfortunate incident that happened earlier today. Marina, let me just take you through the people who are gathered here. If you can see in the background, you can see a lot of people already gathered here and to also mourn the unfortunate passing of the MP for Tamale Central, Honorable Murtala Mohammed. Now, I will be engaging some of them who have come here because of the situation that we find ourselves in. Most of them are very sad that they cannot even express themselves. One word keeps echoing here, that the Honorable Member of Parliament was a God-fearing person and someone who loved everyone regardless of the person's religion, ethnic background. And so I'm here with some of his constituents that I'll be engaging with. Please tell us. Okay, so he says he cannot talk. They are all saying that they cannot talk for now because of how sad